Hello, hello. My name is Jennifer Tom.
My name's Darlene Rimple.
This has been crazy. This is Grief Talk. And Darlene and I just had an amazing experience that was like we laughed out loud. Talk about being figure outable. So that's why I have my phone to make sure. We've been doing grief talk, like we were both on and we were chatting. And then my friend, thank you to Annette, she texts me, she's like, "Is there grief talk today?" And we're like, "We've been on." Guess what? We did not press go live. Anyway, so we had our practice already. So we are ready. And one thing we did before, I see you, my friends, give me a thumbs up if you're watching so that we know we have our friends watching. Before, we did not know who was on. We asked people, give us a thumbs up. No one was giving us a thumbs up. And I was like, what is going on today? Anyway, so we are here. And thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we were just talking about December. Can you believe it's December 1st? And this month, we will be talking about grief during the holidays. And Darlene had an amazing question, and we are going to post it right now. What percent, or I'll let you, Darlene, say that.
What percentage of people are grievers?
What, can you take a guess? What percentage of people are grievers? And remember, friends, when we talk about grieving, we're not talking about loss of a loved one. We're talking about loss of dreams. We all had plans for this year, and now it's December 1st, and some of us would look and say, nothing worked out. Guess what? We are grieving. So, anybody out there, friends, could you take a wild guess? What percentage of people are grievers? I'm so curious to see if we could get this. I love it. I love it. We're going to check comments. We're going to check what's happening. But what percentage of people are grievers? So, Darlene will give it away.
I guess since no one's answering us. So, again, like Jen was talking about, we all experience losses in our lives. And these can start when these actually start when we're a child. It starts when we lose a pet. It starts when we get a sibling that's unexpected, or that even if it is expected, it changes our life. It happens when we move, when we go to a new school. All those things are losses. When we lose somebody we love, when we lose somebody close to us, all those are losses. When relationships end, when a parent leaves or is not just around for us, those are all losses. And so because we all experience losses, that means 100% of us are grievers, because grief is that natural reaction to loss.
So guess what, my friends? We are all 100% of us are grievers. That I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. And that's why this month of December, we will be sharing lessons learned in life and loss. And Darlene and I will be sharing about ways to cope with grief during the holidays. So the whole month, that's our theme. We're going to have guest speakers. We're going to share our thoughts. And we will, at the end of our grief talk today, we will invite you for a Blue Christmas, it's called. So we are just excited. It's December 1st, and we're just sending you all much love. So now that we know we are all of us are 100% grievers, what do we do? What do you do when Christmas is all about fun, it's about joyful? What do you do when you have pain and you're supposed to be joyful? How do you cope with that, Darlene?
I think our most go-to usually is when we start feeling sad, we often try to do those things that create energy, that create positivity. So at Christmas time, it can be overdoing Christmas, right? It's getting all those decorations out, decorating till the hilt, getting everything out. It can be retail therapy. So going and buying a whole bunch of Christmas gifts, going and buying yourself Christmas gifts. It can be food. Oh, we have so much good food at Christmas time. And so we can be having good food. We can have lots of drinks. There's lots of ways that we overdo. And these are all can be all good things, but we overdo them just to release some energy, just to try and get us to disconnect and not have to feel our sad feelings at Christmas when we have grief.
I love that, darling. Thank you for sharing. We are not saying there's anything wrong shopping. We're not saying there's anything wrong having a drink or whatever you have to do during what the traditions you do. What we are saying, if we overdo them because we are numbing the pain, then that's not healthy. Because when we, let's say, we drink too much or eat too much or shop too much, retail therapy, I love that. At the end, we stress out and crash and we feel worse. And come New Year, we're like, like we don't feel so good. But it's because we were doing those things to numb the pain. So we encourage you to just be aware, right? Number one, when you feel when you feel the pain, you feel the loss, you feel the emotions, we encourage tip number one, acknowledge acknowledge that. Acknowledge the emotions. Don't numb them by doing those short-term relieving behaviors. Acknowledge it, feel it, be honest with yourself. Number two, share those feelings with someone you trust. Share with your friend, share with a family member. There is no shame to say that you don't feel good, even though everybody's joyful. I feel most times we don't like to share because we feel we're going to bring others down, right? Because everybody's all happy, it's pre-Christmas, and deep you're missing your loved one, or you're thinking, oh, my year wasn't that good, I'm supposed to be happy. Like, don't numb that. Share with somebody. And our tip number three is please ask for help. Remember, we are here to connect with you. Connect with us, ask for help, talk to somebody. Because we find, and we all know, as Darlene said, when we engage in those short-term relieving behaviors, we are numbing and then we don't feel good after. And sometimes there's a long impact on that. Okay. And remember, we are all 100% grievers.
Yes, we're all 100% grievers. And I just like this quote. It's actually from our book, When Flowers Aren't Enough. Just to remind you that you aren't alone. And I love this quote. It says, deep grief sometimes is almost like a specific location, a coordinate on a map of time. When you are standing in the forest of sorrow, you cannot imagine that you could ever find your way to a better place. But if someone can assure you that they themselves have stood in that same place and now have moved on, sometimes this brings hope. Elizabeth Gilbert. So Jen just has an amazing story to share, right? Sometimes when we just hear someone else's story and we were able to hear someone else's story about how they got through, that gives us hope.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for sharing. And I always like to say, and we all know, grieving is so unique. Everybody grieves different. And for us and for me doing this work, holidays are a tough time. It is a tough time for our family. I have shared before that our family had a very tragic accident during the holidays. And our family was broken forever. Our family hurt. We numbed the pain. We didn't want to talk about it. But guess what what that did to our family is that Christmas has never been the same. We look at Christmas as pain. We look at Christmas, the time we lost so many relatives in one car accident. So Christmas, we're supposed to be joyful, we're supposed to be laughing. But in our family, we look back and sit and remember that tragic accident that took many of my relatives. So that is just my story, and we could be celebrating and we're somewhere, but it's always in my mind. So this is an emotional month for me personally. But we go to the stores, we go everywhere. We're supposed to be happy and joyful. Friends, not everybody is joyful at this time, right? Not everybody. So for us, Stronger Life Connection, we're here to connect with you because we understand. We've been there where Christmas is not as joyful. And so this month, we're going to bring in people who will share their stories on ways to cope. One thing that I've learned through my life is that somebody shared this, and I have permission to share, is that during Christmas, they honor the tradition, right? And the memories. So these families, their loved one loved a certain cake. I can't even remember what cake, but it was a special cake. And every Christmas, they have this cake on the table to honor their loved one. That's another way we can do it, right? And Darlene also has
a story.
Yes.
So when my father-in-law, when we used to always go visit him, and we used to, because he lived a couple hours away, it was usually holidays that we went to visit him. He had his favorite drink, and it was Abercrombie brandy and ginger ale, and it was just like an awesome drink, and he was so excited to share it with us. And every time when we went home for a holiday, he would have this drink for us. And so when he passed away, we named it Grandpa George. Grandpa George. So now at holidays, or when our family gets together, we often will say, "Oh, do you want a Grandpa George?" And then we go and make everybody knows what Grandpa George, and just enjoy a drink to honor my father-in-law. And it's just a fun thing, but it also is a reminder all the time.
I love it. So friends out there, do you have a Grandpa George drink? Do you have something special to honor your loved one? Do you have a special cake? Do you have a tradition that you can honor your loved one? Do you have, like, for our family, it's a tough time where we don't feel like being happy all the time because it reminds us of our relatives that passed away. We all have these feelings, but today we're just here to encourage you to acknowledge the feelings, share it with someone you trust, and honor your loved one with a tradition. So, friends, thank you for having lunch with us. I see a lot of our friends joining. Thanks for having lunch with us. We were late. Our thing didn't work, but we're here. And this month, that's what we'll be sharing. We'll be sharing ways to cope with grief during the holidays. So the question we leave today is that what ways have you used in the past to cope with the holidays? What ways have you used to cope with grief during the holidays? Because remember, my friends, we are all of us are 100% grievers, and this time it is not easy. So as we close, we just want to say thank you for sharing our lunch with us, but also we are so excited because we'll be hosting live, we are collaborating with just beautiful. We'll put the poster up. It's a Blue Christmas worship, a service of healing and hope, December 15th at 6:30. And it's at Trinity Lutheran Church in Bronx. But guess what? We can watch this live where we can share stories and just this is it. This is it.
Yeah, and we'll be sharing there. Yeah, we'll be sharing online about Stronger Life Connections.
Yes, and thank you, Margaret, for joining. Yes, it's a timely topic because most times, Margaret, this time of Christmas, we're supposed to be joyful and all celebration. But the truth is, all of us are 100% grievers. So until Wednesday, thank you for joining us. Please tune in, share this share our page,
Mhm.
because we are going to really give you the nuggets on
Mhm.
ways to cope
Yeah.
with grief during the holidays. And I'm excited, and it's going to be a surprise because next Wednesday we're having a special guest who has an amazing story too. So until then, thank you for joining us.